Hi.
Okay, first question. What is the purpose of the charter school and what is a charter school in general?
Well, a charter school is a school that is legislated by the state of New York, and presumably it's an opportunity for an organization to establish a school within a location of a school district that provides educational options for the public school population within a given area.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of this would be a real good question to ask, the people who are applying for a charter.
Yes.
And, and as you may know, one of the things I've asked the student council to do in terms of our first superintendent symposium is to actually have a meeting with the charter school applicants as well as the school district in order to discuss the facts about their application. And really what what would be critically important for me is for students to make their own informed decision, based on, the facts that are being presented to them, from the charter school as well as, from the school district. So it's really important for me, for all students, to make their own opinions, regarding the matter of a charter school.
Mm-hmm. Um, where will the do you know where the charter school will be located if it is approved?
Well, in the application, it makes reference to that it could be the Assumption School. By the way, this is the application, which is actually available on the State Education Department website.
Quite a
So it's quite lengthy. Yeah. So in here is all of their references in terms of their plans and everything like that. And again, I would encourage you, as well as the students who will be doing the symposium, to really read this thing through.
Is it located online?
Yep, yep. Probably around here someplace we have an extra copy, so we'd be happy to give it to you.
Okay. Let's see. How will the charter school affect our community as a whole?
Well, I think, in my view, the educational plan that's embedded in this application, in my view, does not offer anything other than what we already have in the Peekskill City School District. So I don't see that their proposal for a charter school offers anything that would be a viable option. In other words, it's essentially the same program that we have existing in Peekskill. However, I do believe that what we're offering is of very high quality, with highly skilled teachers, highly qualified teachers and administrators, leading the way. And then the professional development that we're offering this school year is that we have some of our nation's leaders in the areas of literacy, in the areas of professional walkthroughs, in the areas of teaching reading in the content area. In fact, some of your teachers are leading a workshop right now and teaching reading in the content area that is almost unprecedented in schools today. So we're kind of experiencing like a renaissance in professional development, and our goal is to have daily professional development with the focus on our students. So in terms of the educational program, I don't see, objectively, I don't see what they're proposing is anything different than what we already have, and we're already a proven entity. The second aspect of their application talks about a fiscal impact, and I think they understated what the fiscal impact would be on our school system. All of the numbers that they're using in terms of monies being shifted to the charter school by student, we're in agreement with. What we're not in agreement with is that the impact of those monies being shifted, as they stated, as being negligible. For a school system, they are major transfers of shifts of revenue, going with a very small group of kids.
Yeah.
And for us to make up that kind of difference would have real mean, I could use the term catastrophic impact on our educational program here. So, for example, over a 9-year, over a 5-year period, we would have to shift over for 300 students by the end of the 5th year. That would result in a revenue shift of nearly $9.5 million.
Wow.
Wow is right. And there's two ways we can deal with that shortfall or that transfer. One is that we can tax the community for more money, or two, we would have to reduce our spending in order to make up the difference. And even if we were to reduce our spending, we still would have to increase taxes just to support what we had. Now, given what the fiscal realities are, here in Peekskill, as well as in many communities, for us to ask for more than 2% tax levy as an increase is really hard to do.
Yes.
With their proposal, the tax levy increase would be, over 5 years, would be 5%, 5%, 6%, 8%, and then 11%, which our community could not afford. So the result of that is that we would have to reduce expenses.
Yeah.
And what would happen is that when we start reducing expenses, we try and take out things from the outside, things furthest away from the classroom, and then you work your way in.
Yeah.
So things like the athletic program, we call them like non-mandated programs, but even though they're not mandated, they're awfully important to you guys.
Yeah.
Like, for example, your advisor, for the Mercury, this is part of a club. It's an extracurricular activity.
Yeah.
Seriously, the type of impact it would have on the high school, it would be very likely that all extracurricular clubs, as well as sports, would most likely be eliminated pretty quickly, in the first year or two. And then going out, it would be your elective courses at the high school, AP courses, full-day kindergarten, dual language. For us to try and make up, there's no way we can financially make up $9.5 million. So we would have to reduce, our expenses.
Reduce spending.
Yep.
And one way or another.
One way or another, right?
How will the charter school be funded? I think you already answered that. But,
Well, monies from our revenue, from taxes and state aid, will be shifted to the charter school, and that's by formula. So, for example, the charter school, and that's on the state education, we don't control that. It's a number that the state education department configures, and that's $16,400 per student gets shifted. So for every 100 students, that's $1,600,000 $400,000.
which is quite a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, the questions are a little bit
No
everywhere.
worries. No, you're doing a great job.
What grades, and how many students will be in the charter school? In other words, what grades will the charter school be? Like from kindergarten to 12th grade, or?
Well, the proposal, again, I'm just, from what I've read, and we've studied this, pretty hard, the initial 5 years looks at kindergarten to grade 5, I believe. I have to double check it, but it goes in 5 years. They're projecting 100 students in kindergarten, 50 in first grade, 50 in second grade. I have to look. I would have to look it up. But ultimately, the proposal calls for a K-8 charter school. And I would have to look it up in here because I don't exactly remember all those details.
Do you think the charter school will better our education? Will you think it will be good
again, this is my opinion. My opinion is that if the money's being shifted for a small number of kids, so let's say this is like 300 kids in this hand, okay? And all this revenue goes with them. And in Peekskill, we're one of the few school districts in New York State in which our population, our student enrollment has been increasing. And, you know, the vast majority of school districts in New York State, the student population, student enrollment has been decreasing. So, our state aid is still frozen. So what happens is new students come in, we don't get any additional amount of state aid. So what happens is that if we have 300 students, let's say in a charter school, and then we still have 3,100, 3,200, 3,300, 3,400. In the last 3 years alone, our enrollment increased nearly 400 kids. This year alone, over 120 students, new students entered our school system.
Oh, wow.
So we have 120 more students than we did last year at this time. So that, for the remaining 30, let's say 3,400 students, that shift of money is going to severely impact what we've been used to and what we've been adding in our school system just over the last year. So like, for example, we worked really hard to bring in, I don't know if either of you have, are you going into the acting program, the performing arts with Mr. Standler?
Yeah, I've heard of that there are new drama classes that have been added.
Right.
So with this new charter school, that it'll definitely affect the new drama program.
I doubt whether we could continue supporting that.
Okay.
So we added electives, we added new courses. In high school alone, we added several new sections of classes to give our high school students more of a choice.
Simone, do you have any questions to ask?
My only question was, I think what you just asked, how will this impact our education, and that's all.
Well, I think in the worst case scenario, you guys are sophomores and you're a junior.
Vice versa.
Sophomore and junior.
Sophomore and junior. What would happen by the time you were a senior, and most likely when you're a senior, elective courses would be
Eliminated.
probably reduced to almost to zero. You might see your class sizes up to 35 in a classroom, just simply because we would have to reduce, early on. The athletic program could be eliminated by the second year. So I think within 2 years, like in your lifespan for the high school, 2 to 3 years, you would see some, and I'm not saying this to for people to feel, it's not to scare people to think that a charter school is better. It's really the facts.
Of course.
It's a matter of, pluses and minuses, and for us to bring home a budget that we think the community can afford, we know it's not going to be. We know we can't ask the community for let's say a 5 to 6% tax levy increase. We don't have that kind of money to support it. So that's what we have to do, and that means we would have to reduce. It will make our work all the more harder, and I think the impact for the student is that we would have less opportunities, and to us that wouldn't be acceptable. So we want to preserve our school system and provide an educational opportunities for both of you and for your fellow students that are the same as any other school district. Okay? And to continue doing the things like you're doing right now.
Yeah, to continue with the extracurriculars and
Yeah.
other electives that kids are involved in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alright, so that's basically all the questions we have written down, and so thank you so much for the interview.
I'm glad you guys came by. All right, I'm looking forward to, hopefully we'll see you at the symposium,
Yeah,
and I'll see you at school.